Greetings, everybody. Today, I'm attempting to share something that is very painful to me. And I'm doing so because I know within myself that I am not the only one, that there are other individuals who have these same feelings. And perhaps if they knew that they were not alone, somehow it would help them to cope. I'm talking about living in a space where you feel like an outsider. So individuals watching this video can choose to look at a work environment, a home environment, a national environment, living in a country where you feel like you do not belong. And, a lot of questions will come after you listen to this. But keep in mind that things are not always black and white. You can talk about the situation, you can complain about it, but doesn't mean that right away you have the resources or the ability to do something about it. And I think that's my situation. In 2006, I went to Jamaica. And when I returned to Canada, my life changed. I was no longer the same person. I feel broken. But I returned to what had become my home for over 18 years. And I didn't have the ability to just get up and go back home. From the time I left Jamaica, this place has never felt like home, but I tried to make it home. So I go to school, I work, I volunteer. I did all kinds of things just to fit in. In school, I had to fight so hard. I saw people just do their assignments the night before it was due, crappy work, and I watch them get half decent mark. And I had to fight for mine. Every school that I went to, I had to challenge my teachers to say, no, this is not fair, this is not right. And then, when you stand up for yourself and you watch someone change a D to an A minus, something is wrong with that picture. That was my experience. I went on to college. I had so many dreams for myself, for my life. When I watch other people sit around on welfare and allow the government to take care of them, that's something that I could have done. I was in a position that I could just stay on social assistance with my children and just say, okay, call it a day. But I didn't. I fought real hard to have a better life for myself and my children. And every step of the way, I was fought. Every day, it was a stressful situation from one workplace to the other. When I switched from working in business, I thought that's where the problem was. So I decided to go into teaching. And when I got there, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe my experiences in Canada. I couldn't believe that racism was so awful. It was so painful. Having done it for so many years, I finally walked away from it. And some people say, well, what? The things that happened to me on my job was so painful. And in all this time, I didn't really want to be here. It's not like I loved it that much. I love certain things about Canada. I always say there are some things that, you can't compare to anywhere else. The system is designed to take care of its own, and you get to participate in that. Even the great things that I value and love so much, those things were not created for me, but I got a chance to participate in them, and for that I'm grateful. But that longing to return home has always been there. It's that thing that you can't talk about it. It's a feeling. So when I go home, I'm there for a week or 2 weeks, and forget about a week, it's not long enough. If I'm there for a month, it's never enough. Because all my dreams and all my desires that I have inside of me, that I think died, when I go home, those things resurge. I feel alive again. I start dreaming. I like to write. And sometimes for months when I'm here, I can't write. And as soon as I get there, the juices just start flowing. But the trouble is, when you get used to living a certain way, you know, even when you're poor in this country, it is still better than being poor in Jamaica. And when you see that your dollar doesn't go very far, it is very difficult, especially when you have kids. So I stayed all these years because I have kids, and I just try to stay behind them and encourage them and push them so that they can go on to universities to build a better life for themselves. This is really a painful thing for me. One that I don't want anyone to watch just to just hiss your teeth. I need you to listen, because we don't listen to individuals. We don't have time. We just want to hear fun, happy things. We just want, you know, song and dance. And it's not all song and dance for everybody. This for me is very real. I want to go home, and I'm not able to do that. And then I have some health concerns that would do better in a warm place. But I don't just want to go for that reason. I want to go home because this is home for me. This is where I belong. This is where I feel like a citizen, like a member, an equal member of the society. As a 48-year-old woman, I can tell you that racism does this to me, makes me cry. When I look like see that there are opportunities that are there, and when you get to participate in those opportunities, you find out that you have no rights, even though they pretend that there's rights for you. You know, you feel like you're invisible. Imagine sitting at a table with teachers who, some of whom have less qualification than yourself, participating in a learning experience. And when you open your mouth to speak, they pretend like you don't exist. They either ignore you or they say some very disrespectful things to you. That is painful. And imagine if you're the kind of person with my personality, because I always think that I'm not going to give you that opportunity to bring me out. So I would take it in me. And sometimes I regret that now. Sometimes I wish I had come and done. I just take it in me. I stay quiet. And they disrespect me and pretend like I have nothing to contribute. And the shameful thing about it is a lot of these individuals, they cheat. They go to work, they don't do anything, you know, and they recycle work year after year. Sometimes they don't do any work. They don't teach the kids nothing. They play games. My kids ran circles around a lot of those kids in that grade, and I feel bad for some of those kids. There are some horrible teachers that the government needs to get rid of. My kids meant a lot to me. My students made me want to be a better person. And when I go to work, I get there at 7 in the morning. Even though I had to take a bus, a go bus, a train, and another bus to get to work. 4 hours per day I traveled to work. It wasn't easy. But when I got there, I was energized. I was doing it for the kids. When I watched them grow, when I saw how, you know, someone who others dismissed and said this kid has issues, or this kid has behavioral problems, and we can't be bothered with this person. And I took that child and nurtured that kid. And I saw how that kid did well, blossomed. Shy kids come out of their shell, all because they wanted someone to believe in them. That's what I did. I loved my job. And every child that other people dismissed and didn't want, those were the kids that I wanted, because I knew what it felt like. As an adult, I knew what it felt like for others to dismiss me. You understand? So I took these kids in my hands, and I became like a mother to them at school. I don't love this country. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't know what it did to me. And I don't love what it's done to many more people. And I hate the fact that when somebody come out and talk about it, it doesn't matter. It's like nobody wants to hear it. I can't just get up and go home. This is where I've made my contributions. I can't afford to go home to a country that they're struggling. And part of the struggle that they're experiencing is from external forces. They're not in a position to, compete with the first world countries, because to be honest, some of our resources are stolen. They come to our country and they take our resources, and then we have to buy it back from them. The third world countries such as Jamaica are third world because the first world countries made them that way. When you go home and you look at tourism, it doesn't benefit the locals. They're in servitude positions. They work in hotels for minimum wage, and their hours. I go to hotels all the time, and I see people working from 8 o'clock in the morning, and when I go for dinner at 9 at night, those same individuals are there. Making what kind of money? Maybe less than minimum wage. Servitude. And the positions that pay well are not held by most Jamaicans. They're held by overseas people. And the foods that provided in the hotel are not provided but not found in Jamaica. They come from overseas. And the infrastructure, when they're building these hotels, most of the engineers and the workers come from overseas. Yes, some locals get some work, but mostly servitude work. So the question, why don't you just go home? It's not that easy. Especially when you leave your country with the attitude that you're not going to go back. That's not a good thing. When you leave home for a better opportunity, this part should be seen as your workplace. You pay your taxes, you contribute to the economies here because this is where you live, this is where you benefit from your work. You do all that you can, but you don't treat it as home. Because for most of us, it isn't home. We'll never be treated like home. You'll never see something in the news that make you feel like you're part of that society. If anything, all that I see in this country about my heritage is usually very bad. And I'm not saying that there are not black people here doing some bad things, but not everybody is. I would like to see more positive reinforcement of the black community. And I don't see that, and it breaks my heart. And I see that representation in every aspect of the Canadian life. In my work, I saw that I wasn't valued. And there are black teachers in the system and been in the system for a long time and might have a better experience than I have. So I'm not saying everybody, but I know my experiences. And I know other black women like myself who has had full-time jobs and just got treated like dirt. Always having to fight. It doesn't matter what school board you go to, you find that you're fighting, to maintain, and you do extra work and you try to be a valuable member of that team, and you're not appreciated. I miss home. I want to go home. And the steps that I made to make that happen, my relatives took that from me. My own family, My own family acted like scammers. And so apart from living in a space where you feel like you're an outsider, my relatives, I'm putting them on blast, my own blood relative took my money that I wanted to build a home for myself, and they destroyed me. It's terrible. So you say, why don't you just go home? Go home to what? And I'm here, and when you live in these parts, in my experience at least, by the time you're done paying for bills, you don't have much to save. You're taking from your savings to make up your bills. And you see weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and your dreams start fading. Your dream of returning to a place where at least you feel You know, when the person says good morning and smile with you, that's genuine. You know, if you feel sick and someone comes to visit you, you know that this is real. And the air is fresh and the food is fresh. Because when I go home, I don't go to the supermarkets to buy my food. I go to the market to buy my food. I am very sad. Some of the things that I talk about in my videos, I talk from personal experience or things that I see with other people. I know what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm not afraid. I'm unafraid. You know, if one comes to confront me about the things I talk about, you're welcome. You know, sometimes I do my videos and I see 1 or 2 or 3 views. And sometimes I have to say, really, these are not concerns or issues that other people have. They deliberately prevent those videos from being shown. If you feel the way I do, if you can relate to this video, one thing that I've said, I'm asking you to share it. I ask you to share it for this reason, that if somebody else feels the way that I do, then they know that they're not alone. Because there are times when I feel like I'm alone. Sometimes I'm hurting inside. Sometimes I think of all kinds of things. And you know, when you're someone who decides that in order for you to gain the things in life that you want to do it in a positive way. You want to see it as a blessing. So you're not going to go out of your way and do anything illegal. Morality steps in and speaks to your condition. Because there are others who feel this way and they would do anything they could do to get away. But I can't do, because I really want to be able to say, you know, thanks be to Jah. If you know what I'm talking about, if you can relate to one thing that I'm saying, this video is done for you as well. So I keep dreaming and I keep hoping. And sometimes I lose hope. Sometimes I wonder, why did I come here? What was the purpose of coming to this place? Because it's been an upheaval, private moments of pain, and public ones too. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I just want you to understand. And I want you to send me positive vibrations. And I want you to speak out. You know, when you have things that are racist that happens to you, when you see things that are injustice around you, it doesn't have to be in this country, any place you live in the world, speak out. Don't remain silent. I had teachers at my school who come and say, oh my gosh, that's terrible what they did, or that shouldn't have happened to you. But they never spoke out. They never said, stop, you can't do that. They come to me. You know, there's one female, a few females, but there was one female that kept doing things to me. It was outrageous what she was doing. And individuals will come behind her back and say, oh, that's terrible, she shouldn't have said that to you, or she shouldn't have done that, and nobody stood up and things. And that devastated me and hurt me so much. And I'm trying to get over it. But I think my love, my joy, my hope is all wrapped up in the hope of leaving. My kids are older now. My 2 older kids, they're older, they're adults. They can find their way. But I just can't just get up and leave, you know. I'm just waiting again for God to open that door, that opportunity where I can say goodbye. Anyway, everybody, be blessed. Think on these things.